In this session, I'm going to tell you how to make particle system and, for example, make these blood effects. And also, for example, when I drink the health potion, this effect would be appear, or the speed potion, this would appear for me, or the damage one, this thing appear there. First, let's go and design a blood drop. For example, I have something like this. And I merge the layer and export that. We want this as the material. So let's go and make our particle system. So go to Effects, Particle System. For example, we want to make blood, say blood effect. At first, something like this would appear. And you play with this different parameters until you get something desired that you want. You can make countless shapes and effects by tweaking these things. So now that we want to make the blood effect, let's go and do that. So it won't be looped because only once I want that the fire would be spilled or, and the duration be 2, start lifetime 1, speed, we can change that. Let's assume that it is something like this. Start size, for example, this, we can change them later. But now we just want the rough thing. Okay, blood is this color, and we are in the 2D, and we want that the gravity affects our blood drops, and it's kind of move down. So I put it, for example, in 2. 1, do that, and this. For this, the particles, it's better that you lower the number because um, you don't want that it would, for example, interfere with your game performance. This. Now go to emission and check that. If it is not, and you can, for example, say this one and the count, for example, be 40 or some numbers around that. And the shape, I want that the shape be hemisphere. It's that he would spill the blood like something like this. Yes, you can change this number if you want. This. Okay. And also I want to check that. So this is for opacity. The opacity would decrease as the blood is spilled and is fading away. Then size over lifetime. Um, 1 and 0, so it would decrease in the size as the time pass. You can also this is size by speed, no. Rotation, you can use the rotation if you want, but the important thing, for example, as a collision to be world, and this is of course 2D. You don't want the bounce, and for example, nothing special here. 3 years, no. And you cannot trade lights. It depends on you. But for blood, this is not shiny, so you don't really need that. But for example, for magic orb, you can use these things. And there is a material. Do you see that? This is just like a cube. So let me go here and make a material. Create material and call it blood. And I drag and drop my texture here, and then I go there and I drag and drop it here. So it would have, let me loop that. And do you see that? Now you want to play with these things. For example, okay, the speed is not good, or it is very big. Um, the counts, you can increase that. Yes, I think that's good. So this is your blood. And let's remove the loop. And I make it as a prefab. Where to put that? Yes, on the enemy. And then I delete it. And there's a pivot point. Okay. Blood effect. Let's go to the player health code. I mean the enemy health code. Okay, I want that's when I hit the enemy, those things appear. Private, game object, blood effect. When it take damages, I instantiate the bl- blood effect in the transformed position of the player and do not rotate. Okay, something like that. And let the code to compile. For each enemy, you have to go and add that. So go to your prefab enemy. For example, this one. There is what? Oh yes, blood effect. And also for your other enemy, blood effect. Now let's go and test that. The bloods are not in a very good place and they're weird. So let's go here. 6, duration 1. And also the placement was not good. It was here, I think. So transform the position plus new vector 3. I just want to make it to come up in a y value. For example, 1f0. Let's test it now. Okay, I make it to f. I made the speed this, but I removed the collision. I didn't like the effect. So it depends on you. If you like to keep that, you can. But in my case, I like to remove that. So that is better, I think. Something like that happens. Or you can even make this a little bit smaller. Something like that. You get an idea. You can change that to whatever that you want to get. And that's it. Oh, no, it's not it. Because, when I play the game, the blood effect didn't disappear. Just they just stayed there. And this is very bad for performance, all right? So let's do something about it. So let's write a code. Go to script. Mm, let me make a code just for deactivating. Deactivate. So whatever that you want to deactivate, we just use this code. So we don't write the same thing over and over again. So we just give it a lifetime. So I say serialized fill, private, float, cool down, timer, for example, 1 by default, and private float timer. And you can say if timer is more than cooldown timer, then destroy game object. And here you say timer plus equal time, not delta time. Give you this code to everything that you want that it disappears. Okay, and you don't need that. So let's go to prefab. This. Okay. And add deactivate cooldown timer. I think 1 is good. Or 2. So you see these disappear. And if you want the blood to appear above the enemy, you can change the sorting layer. If you want to make the blood very stunning and realistic, you have to use shader. For example, you can make it look like wet, or for example, some part of that are dried and it is shiny. Those are things are better to be used with shader. But for the 2D game, these particle effects are enough. I want that when I drink the healing potion, for example, this thing appears around me. I bring it here, and just as I made the particle, what was that in the enemy, the blood effect? Let me unpack completely so I can use that. I say healing effect, but I want that it rise up, so it wouldn't have gravity modifier. 0, nothing. And let me go to the art. Yes, it was here. I make a. It's better that you make your materials in a separate folder. Drag and drop it here. This and go here. What? In the render and add this. This is the result. I like this thing. So you can see the numbers and get inspired from emission 25, and I chose a cone with this and this. Yes, speed, rotation, and this. And I want that it be instantiated when I consume a healing thing. So let me duplicate that. And I want something for um, this one as well. For example, you can make other shapes. For example, for this one and this one, you can also create things. But here I can't because you have to make. Just bring your material here. Okay, I made. Let me this and also this for speed and that indigo one for the attack. I can make it red. And I just duplicated the previous one and brought it here and just changed the texture in the rendering. I just changed. And I also added the trail. And here on the trail material, I gave, for example, this, I think, yes. And I gave the color. Nothing is special. I didn't change much here. So you can use this, or mode, you can go to ribbon, so it have this effect. You can increase the count, which I don't think it's very cool. And there are like something like this. There are many things that you can choose from, and it depends on you. I myself like this, something like that. And also for the hmm, damage effect, let me deactivate it. Go to damage, render, make the, I can duplicate this material and call it damage, and give this to that. Now you have this. In the render, give this one and change the trail color. That's cool, I think. If I, yes, something like that is good. You can make it ribbon, but this ugly. And ribbon 40, no, for. Just tell you the tool, but you decide which one to use. Okay, you have all of this and this. Make sure they are not looped, because only once they are played. And your healing has this code. Also give this code to this and this. So they are, oh, they had that because I've duplicated them, so you don't need to add them again. Okay. So let's see the effect play. So there will be only played once. It'll be something like this. And let's grab them and bring them into prefab, because when you want to use instantiation, you should use prefab. And you don't use lots of them, so you don't need object pooling. If you're, for example, instantiating lots of things over a very short period of time, um, then you better use other methods like object pooling. But as you, for example, you seldomly use this thing, so instantiation doesn't cause any issue for the performance. So let's go to the, no, it doesn't make any sense. Just make a new folder and call it effect. And put all of your effects here, delete them, and go to your collection code. Something you had added for the enemy. Player collection. It is healing effect. Control D. Speed effect. And damage effect. and go there. Oh, what is this? Go there and give it to your player. For example, when it consumes, unconsume, yes, do that. But the healing, so it should be healing effect. S, speed effect. Unconsumed damage, damage effect. And go to inspector and drag and drop those things there after the code is compiled. So you have this thing here, healing effect, where my effect. The damage effect is this, healing, speed, okay. And now let's deactivate the enemies. So for the healing, the speed, but as I move, it stays there. The problem with one that when these effects are instantiated, they be parented, they be a child of the player, so the player is the parent for that. Like we had in the main camera, we put it here and it was a child of a player. So that thing would happen for the transformer, for the effects. So I say game object go. Let me go here. The player. No, not here. Do we have anything? No, we don't have. So it says serialized field, private, transform. Um, you can use that. For example, it's a private transform player, but as the code is already on the player himself, so I say transform. So where were we? Geo. Yes. Then I say geo that's transform that sets parent transform when it transform the player already, and add that for the others and consume D and consume this. So I use the healing potion and it comes with me. Oh, I don't have any running potion. Why? It was in the, where was that? No, in the loot. So I would add lots of them so we can try and test. Okay, then I say that, okay, this and this for the damage. Okay, that works perfectly fine. And mixture of effects, good.